Growing up, I focused so heavily on getting into college that I never really put much thought into majors or careers. I had many interests, like music and writing, but never considered applying them to realistic professions. Even once I started going to BYU, I was very hesitant to declare a major out of fear that I'd be missing out on one that was even better. My first step in trying to figure out my future was in attending the major fair halfway through my first semester. While this was very useful in discovering new and interesting majors that I hadn't even known existed, I became overwhelmed and even more stressed after seeing how many majors BYU had to offer. At that point, I thought a major was a direct segue into a career, so put a lot of pressure on choosing the perfect major. Then I chose to take Student Development 117 because part of me knew I needed some direction and help. One of the first things we learned about was the Ophelia syndrome, which refers to the Ophelia in Shakespeare's tragedy that succumbs to the outside pressure of her father Polonius, without taking time to think for herself. Unfortunately, that resonated a little too well with me, as I realized I had been influenced so heavily by older authoritative figures that I hadn't taken time to formulate my own thoughts and opinions. Especially being the youngest out of 6 children in my family, I felt that a lot of my decisions were just reflections of my older siblings and parents' opinions. At that point, I knew I needed to start making certain changes that would stimulate independent thought and self-reflection. Hafan's article also provided some great insight into dealing with uncertainty. He mentioned that in the LDS culture particularly, young adults have a hard time coping with ambiguity. He encouraged a balance between blind optimism and critical skepticism. This article and others helped me to reflect and make a conscious effort to be more self-aware and open-minded. However, my experiences while interviewing professionals off campus proved to be the most beneficial aspect of this class. I decided to focus in on interviewing those in the medical field because health professions are what I've been leaning toward for a while. While I had grown up around doctors, including my dad, I had never really taken time to sit and think about the day-to-day life of a physician. These interviews helped me to realize the intense workload and high-stress environment that comes with this field, yet also the very rewarding aspect of elevating people's quality of life. I also chose to interview and shadow optometrists working in Provo. One worked in a retail setting while the other worked at a shared practice connected to the hospital. These experiences supported my desire to become an optometrist, not only because I would be helping and healing people, but I also would have the opportunity to learn and research in a field that is constantly progressing and advancing. I had been going to eye appointments and getting prescriptions since the age of 8, but had never really considered going into optometry. Personally, I feel it would be very rewarding to help others use their eyes to their fullest potential, because I can still distinctly remember the day I could see clearly for the first time. This field would also apply my interest in biology and human anatomy to a situation in which I can help others. So now, after taking this class and conducting these interviews, I have had more of a sense of where I want to go with my education and career. I am now set on science-oriented majors, whether it be neuroscience, molecular biology, or something along those lines. So after my mission, I'll take general science classes, such as cell biology and general physics, to further narrow down which major I would most enjoy being a part of. I will look for undergraduate research opportunities, especially those that involve a study abroad, where we could conduct scientific research in unique environments. I will also apply for jobs associated with health professions so that I can gain more experience with patient-doctor interactions. And if after these classes and various experiences I still feel that optometry is the field I want to go into, I will prepare for the optometry admission test and look into a 4-year program in which I can receive a Doctor of Optometry degree. So now I'm excited for the future because I have a more clear path laid out ahead of me.